The VPA plays a central role in organizing the tournaments, from securing the facilities, off-site Coldstream lacrosse box. They have 6 courts out there, and they help us out when we have our big 4-day tournaments. In the last few years, we ran the BC Provincials, and again, we're running it this year in 2025. And last year in 2024, we got to do the Western Canadian Nationals. And again, we needed the Coldstream courts. Vernon Tennis Association allowed us to use their courts as well. And the city of Vernon also stepped in and helped us with organizing this tournament. So it was awesome.
It is really nice during tournaments to sort of find out what clubs people have come from or where they've traveled from to come to Vernon. For the bigger tournaments, like we held Pickleball Canada Westerns were here in Vernon this summer, and the summer before that were the BCs. So we do get a lot of people coming from, well, this summer it was from across Western Canada to compete. So they're coming from the island, they're coming from Alberta, not so many from a bit further away, but definitely Alberta and all across BC to come and compete. And the same with the BCs. And so everybody has a common interest. And I think pickleball generally is just a really social kind of game. Even when it's competitive, people are cheering each other on and are like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? Hey, that's so cool that you play up in Fort St. John or wherever they might be from, that there's pickleball everywhere.
I think the key thing is to get the right people in the right roles to run the tournament. And there are probably 4 key roles that you need to fill. And the number 1 role is the tournament director. That's like the general manager of the tournament, or the czar, and you hope it's a benevolent one. That's going to be the leader at pulling everything together, both before the tournament and during the tournament. They may have to make some decisions around play, disputes, as well as keeping things on track. The next key person is the head of the score table. And the score table is the engine of the tournament. If that does not run smoothly, your tournament is going to go down in flames. So you need someone who's got some technical expertise, some experience. You would not want to have a rookie there. They're running a computer program that's fairly sophisticated. So that score table lead is an absolutely critical person. The next critical person is your referee coordinator. And the referee coordinator is keeping the referees going, making sure they have the right referee at the right place, smooth transition of score sheets going out. Without the referee, the game doesn't start. So you don't get them out there on time in a timely way, it's going down. The next key person is the volunteer coordinator, recruiting, keeping the volunteers happy, being trained. So with those 4 people, the tournament director, the score table lead, the referee coordinator, and the volunteer coordinator, you can pretty much make things work. Now there's probably another 15 other pretty important roles, but if you have those 4, you've got a good shot at getting the tournament going in the right direction and keeping it going in the right direction. There are 2 really significant computer programs that you use. One, and they're both really at that score table area. One is called Pickleball Brackets, and that is how you set up the tournament, how you register people, and how you produce the game pairings and produce the score sheets and keep things moving. So you need to have that program, and you need to have someone with expertise run it. And it takes a couple of other people to be there pushing the buttons, printing, etc. And the second computer program is called Pickleball Desk, and that's used to coordinate those 2 other important roles, the referees and the volunteers. Again, you need someone that's familiar with it, that's been trained in it. And between those 2 programs, one to run the tournament and one to run the referees and the volunteers, again, that's how you keep things going in the right direction. There are 2 big fears in running a tournament. One is the weather, and you live in fear it's going to be usually too rainy or windy. That's if you're playing outdoors. Now we're blessed in Vernon with having 12 indoor courts, but when we run a big tournament, we have to use, in addition to those 12, 12 outdoor courts where we convert tennis courts. And so you live in fear of it raining and causing problems. The second big fear is as the tournament starts, after the first games occur, you need to print out the next games and the score sheets to get to the referees and get the players on the court. If the printer doesn't work, you are hooped. It is amazing in how many tournaments doesn't get connected, it gets disconnected, the internet goes down, the cable breaks, something of that nature. So you're just praying that when it comes time to print that first score sheet after the first games, you want to hear that little click, 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 and the score sheet's coming out. So the solutions to the weather problem was run it indoors, but if you can't, there are some alternatives. What we found in Vernon, they're not viable alternatives. Find another place at short notice, very expensive, hard to do. You can go to another day, an additional day. That's a big travel problem for people. So what we found for the rain problem, which has happened to us, is that you go inside for all your games. Now you got twice as many games in half the space, and you shorten up the format of the games. And you do the best you can. And that's worked out okay for us. The printer problem is always print the first score sheets for the day the night before. So you've got those first 8 o'clock games going, and have a second printer that you know is compatible with your computers and is going to work and is going to deal with the half sheet paper and things like that. So backup, backup, backup. So sometimes we'll have 3 printers, but you got to make sure they're compatible. You might have 2 computers you're using. You might even have 3 computers you're using. Is it compatible with all 3? The tournament we ran this last July, the Pickleball Canada Western Canadian Championships, was an example of some problems and them being solved and then having a happy ending. So it was a pretty big tournament, 600 competitors plus, 45 referees, 180 volunteers. So 4 days, 1,000 some odd games. And it rained and a windstorm on the first day of the tournament. And so we had to move them all inside. And we had by 11:30 in the morning, so we had more than half the day still to play, and thought we could well be there till midnight. But what we did was we shortened up the games. Instead of playing best 2 out of 3 to 11, we played 1 game to 15. And our score desk did a great job of meshing and merging and keeping things flowing. The first happy ending was that, to our surprise that day, we ended up on time. In fact, even a little bit ahead of time, even though we scrunched everybody in, and the players understood and went with it. So there were a couple of other problems. Our router went down, and so we had no internet, which is a huge problem. And we were able to, we had sort of test-driven this. We paired 3 computers to 1 cell phone and just ran it off of the cell. Although we were kind of like ducks, calm on top, but paddling like heck underneath to patch it all together. When the tournament ended after the 4 days, after that first day, we had no problems, and it just ran super smoothly. And we were a bit in awe when it finished, going like, did that happen? It's like there was just no problems. I think the tournament is successful if people don't even know the organizers were there. It's just like they just play, referees are there as they're supposed to be, everything just goes as it's supposed to, and they just assume that's it. That's a successful tournament. And that you're not out in front, you're just making it work. And that's the way that tournament ended up.
We focus on creating a welcoming environment by offering divisions of all skill levels and age groups. Some of the tournaments that we've had participants as young as 10 years old and as old as 80 years old. We also work with local businesses and tourism groups to welcome our athletes that are attending. It's basically welcoming them into our homes.
This is the first year that Chayton has played singles. So it's definitely different being on the sideline and watching. It's difficult when you see your child struggling in a different aspect, but it's also amazingly rewarding when you can see that switch go on and they turn that struggle into it's game time. And I've seen him in certain matches. He definitely has that it's game time, let's go mentality. And when that switch turns on, look out. And, I have had other people mention that. Often when you're dealing with a young person and the parents, the people have talked to me after the games and they're like, oh man, there was just a point in that game where all of a sudden he was just hammering me with shots or whatever. And that's another thing I find interesting when it's a younger person playing, is the competition is more likely to come and talk to you about the experience they had playing your son. It's fun for me to hear other people's perspectives of what it was like to compete against him on the other side of the net.
I think it's quite similar to when you're practicing, but in a tournament, you're really just trying to bring the things that you practice into reality where you can actually do those shots consistently. Because in tournaments, you can often be a lot more tight, but just drilling those shots till you feel very comfortable with them, when you actually get to the tournament and you can use those shots, it feels very good. Yeah, it was very fun. I've played in tons of tournaments at this point, but everyone just feels like a different experience, different competitors. It's very fun just to do the best that you can. And it's also awesome when you actually end up winning.
The first time somebody came up to him and asked for his autograph, I remember that moment. The look on our faces in pictures, I've gone back and seen different tournaments that we participated in, and the smiles on the face when we stepped on the gold. Our first time on a podium was our second tournament, and it was gold. The reaction from people that we played against before we started was often, okay, we'll just go out and have a good fun match. And then you hear afterwards when we, say congratulations or whatever, it's like you hear them mumbling, oh, that was humbling. Just seeing the different perspective of people when they think they're playing a young kid, and all of a sudden that young kid just beat their butts on the court type of deal. It's an interesting experience. And going around places and all the tournaments that we go to, I'm Chayton's dad, and everywhere we go, he's very well known by different people. And sometimes when I'm not playing with him, I'll often be kind of more in the background watching the game, and I'll often hear other people talking about him while he's playing a game, and they don't necessarily recognize who I am or know I'm there. So it's a fun part.
My first tournament was in 2022, and I played with my sister, and that was super fun. And just, going through that together. My other sister was playing in the tournament as well, and all three of us walked away with the medal. So that made it really fun. Our family all comes and cheers each other on. So that made the experience even that much better. The most rewarding part is my growth. Until you play in a tournament, you don't really know, how you measure up, compared to the out-of-town people or the people you don't play regularly. And so I spend a lot of time reading and learning about pickleball, and then practicing. Then you go in a tournament and you see, where you land in the mix. And it's a good opportunity to see, where your strengths are and where there's room for improvement. And that sort of guides your training plan. And it helps me learn and grow.
Well, we're blessed in Vernon in a couple of ways. We have a big club. I might surprise some people, but probably only about 20% of the players actually play in competitive tournaments. So you got 80% that aren't. And what we need to do is get a fifth of those to come out and be volunteers. So as I've mentioned before, we use a program called Pickleball Desk, which allows us to define the jobs that we need, when they are, how long the shift is, and it provides a way in which the individuals can sign up and volunteer, create a profile. Quite easy to do. And then they can pick and choose what day, what tournament, and when they want to volunteer. And we can communicate with them. That's another important point. We can communicate through that program to them. So that makes the whole coordination of it way, way easier than trying to do it separately. As I mentioned, that's also the program that we use for the referees, and it has some of the similar features. So that's sort of how we coordinate that. We have had orientation sessions for volunteers at some of our first tournaments. Now with running 5 tournaments a year, 3 one-day and 2 3 or 4 day tournaments, we've created a bit of a cadre of volunteers, and they're becoming knowledgeable about the jobs. They tend to sign up for some of the same sorts of jobs, from tournament to tournament. We try and have fun with them. We try and recognize them during the course of the tournament. If we have prizes that we give out, or draw prizes for players, we say, no, we're going to give 50% to our volunteers and 50% to the players. So sometimes they get some pretty nice draw prizes. We have for our bigger tournaments, our provincial championships or our Western Canadian championships, we've had a volunteer t-shirt that we've had sponsors support and provide to us. And this year, we're creating 2025 volunteer t-shirt. So whether you volunteer for the first tournament or the last, or a big one or a little one, you're going to get a volunteer t-shirt. They are an important part. You can't run it without them. We value them, and we want them to know that we do value them. There's a real key area of where that's extremely important, and that's our score table area. You need to have knowledgeable people that have got a bit of tech savvy. That pertains to both the pickleball brackets program and the pickleball desk program, the referees, the volunteers, and the players. We've, over the course of time, have gotten some people now that are pretty experienced in that area. Initially, we had a few bumps and had learning curves, and that's just part of it. I went down and helped out at a Kelowna tournament to learn how to use the pickleball desk, the volunteer referee thing, came back and taught our folks how to do that. So in those areas, it is extremely important that you get people trained, and people will piggyback off of each other. So you may get a vet and a rookie working together, and now after 2 days, that rookie has now got it down. And then if they come back the next time, now they're a veteran and they're going to be working with another rookie. So we try and get a little bit of a blend, but it's really, really important to have. You cannot foul up in that area or you're done for. In the other areas, often what will happen is a person will be, if they hadn't done it before, we may schedule them for the second day of the tournament. And so they'll come in the first day and shadow somebody who is doing that job. And then second day, they know what's expected and what should be happening. Sometimes the jobs are fairly straightforward, and we'll just have them come in early, and we'll have the lead for that area. It might be gatekeeper for the outdoor courts, so people aren't just walking on when games are going on. Okay, what's expected here? Here's your, wear a bib. There's going to be different rules, and we just, in 10 minutes, we can get them up to speed. You want people who are welcoming, warm, helpful, hospitable. And Vernon has a reputation now in our tournaments of being exactly that. It's amazing at the end of a tournament how many people will come up and say, I have felt so welcome here. You guys are so friendly. So often the volunteers may not be competitive players themselves. Often they're not. They're just interested and willing to help out, and we need them. And so in some cases, we do need some technical expertise. In a lot of cases, we can train for that. The rest of the time, we just need people that want to help out. We haven't reached volunteer burnout yet. In fact, I'd say we've got people sometimes almost lined up. Oh, I tried to get into that, but I'll get the next one. And even just watching the tournament as you're doing your volunteer role, it's like, wow, that was pretty. I think maybe I could do that. So I got my grandson at 11 wanting to come out and volunteer. And he did, and he had a great time, and has volunteered for 2 more tournaments as a runner.
Vernon is exceptional. Referees, very professional, dividers between the courts. It's just a fantastic venue. And the ones organizing it don't have to worry about the rain coming, so pretty special place.
Yeah, it really is a cut above. We've played in Hawaii, we played in Mexico, and helped to play internationally a lot, but it's tough to beat Vernon.
It's a lot different. It's a lot more intense. We get to play with people who we never see, so they come from out of town, which is really cool.
Definitely nice to just like find that inner fire and have that competitive side come out versus rec play being more fun.
It's a test. It's a test of what we've been working on. We're practicing several times a week, and then we can come out to a tournament and put that to the test against real competition.
Honestly, the most exciting part of any tournament is just meeting new people, getting to play against new competition, and learning as much as you can from every new opponent.
I think there's been a lot of exciting moments in this tournament. The way this tournament's set up is pool play. So instead of double elimination knockout, you get a lot of games. So we played a lot of games this weekend. We got a lot of good rallies. Yesterday, I tried to dig a ball out and I ended up on my butt. So that was really exciting. Probably the highlight of the weekend was ending up on the ground. I was fine. Yeah, it was lots of fun. We've had lots of fun so far here in Vernon.
There is a thing about husbands and wives trying to play mixed pickleball. It's not always easy. We manage. There's been a couple of quiet car rides home, but so far so good, and we hope to have a great day today.
I think just playing some of the top people, I don't want to call us underdogs, but we're up and coming, and this is just next level for us. So it's just really exciting to get that chance and try and take that opportunity and prove that we want to be here.
Yeah, it's fun to play the guys they've been at the top for a while. It's exciting to see all the people who come out and cheer us on too.
Yeah.
Like playing in front of people is pretty exciting.
Definitely there's lots of strategy, but it depends on your opponents. Thankfully here in Vernon, we know, because we play locally so much, we know a lot of the teams and how they play. So you are able to devise a strategy and plan, but when you're playing teams you don't know, it's really important to use your timeouts and talk to each other as a partnership and figure out your strategy.
Lots of strategy that goes into it. I think only the last game was like, okay, no strategy, but every one before that, we had a very specific strategy on how we wanted to play that team.
A big one's preparation. I feel like if we can come in as the most prepared team, that's confidence.
I feel like we definitely have a strategy, and then it's just execution, right? Like we have a plan, we know what we want to do, make it happen.
Yeah, there's a basic strategy, and then you always have to adapt mid-game, and the other team adapts, and then you adapt again, and yeah, that's one really cool part about the game.
Limit your errors, number one. At our level, we're at 4-0. Limiting errors is very important, and then winners comes after that, I think.
And I think adaptability, that when people are new to playing tournaments and you kind of don't have a strategy, the more you play in tournaments, the calmer you get, and you become adaptable by watching the people you're playing against. So I think there's something to be said for competing in multiple tournaments, knowing you'll learn something from every single one of them.
Yeah, sportsmanship is super important in pickleball. Pickleball is a very small community, even though the sport has grown so fast. Everyone knows each other. And so the way that you act on court or your reputation will follow you for a long time. There's been a lot of great moments of sportsmanship, especially yesterday in women's doubles. A lot of, generous calls. Because pickleball players call their own lines, it's really important to have integrity, be honest.
When it comes to local tournaments especially, where you're playing people that are your friends and that you're going to be practicing with, I think it's important to keep good mojo and give your opponent the benefit of the doubt pretty much always. If they feel really strongly about something, then just agree with them and move on with your day. It's just a game.
The bigger the tournament, the more different teams there are. I feel like just a little local tournament, you see a lot of the same faces, a lot of the same people. When it's a bigger tournament, bigger pool, you get to play new people, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, Vernon gets a really good draw. People come from further away to play here, I think. Our games always are refereed, which makes it feel a lot more official, and that's attractive for the better players too.
So nice to have such a great facility. You know, you don't have wind and weather as a factor, which is definitely part of the game. It changes things, but it's nice that we get to practice here on home court.
You're wanting to win. Everybody's here to win, believe it or not. Like, yes, sportsmanship's fantastic, but you know, you got to focus, and we're disappointed if we lose. Let's put it that way. At least I am. How about you?
Yeah, I think of the two of us, I'm a little bit more the easier going of the two. I do want us to have fun, but like Jay said, we're also here to win and to compete. Pretty cool. At 62 and 64 years of age, we get to wake up and come to an event that gets our blood pumping and our adrenaline going. And so competition is great, but sportsmanship is pretty key.
Yeah, sportsmanship's, we actually had this talk before the tournament. It's a big factor for us. We want to be a team who's fun to play against, fun to play with. When there's good sportsmanship on both sides, then you make friends right away with the other players. It's not a huge community, so everyone gets to know each other, and yeah, we all want to be on good terms.
For sure. I feel like good line calls, I like to be willing to give them commendable, like great shot, support each other. People make great shots. People, you know, when you make good calls, you get good calls. And I feel like pickle karma is a real thing.
Yeah.
With tournaments, whether it's tournaments in Vernon, if it's a sanctioned tournament, it's held on what's called pickleball brackets. Most competitive players are looking for what tournaments they want to participate in throughout the year. And so they'll be picking and choosing because they're posted on pickleball brackets well ahead of the tournament. And so the registration dates are posted, as well as what all the different categories are going to be. So we as a club don't often have to do a lot to promote the tournaments. We have our own tournaments, like the smaller ones, like I mentioned, in the early spring, and we may have some other tournaments that are sanctioned through Pickleball Canada. But the ones that are run on pickleball brackets, people plan well ahead, and we don't have to do a lot of promoting. I'll put it on Facebook, we'll send emails out, but usually the tournaments are sold out within a couple days.
Tournaments bring in new players, they generate excitement, they also showcase the sport at a high level. They help build relationships within our own community. We're working closer with the city than we ever have. With the Downtown Vernon Association and working with the Vernon City Council, it is believed that these 2023 BC Provincials Tournament and the Western Canadian National Tournament that we had here brought in $500,000 to the local market per tournament.
There's been such exponential growth in pickleball over the last 6-7 years. I mean, I don't know if there has been a sport in modern times that has had such a explosion. Most of our approved, accredited sports, recognized sports by Sport Canada have been around for 100 years or more. Rowing, hockey, soccer, basketball. Pickleball still isn't officially recognized as a sport by Pickleball Canada. There's a whole process you have to go through, and there's a bunch of politics and things that have been bogged down overall. But so it's not even a teenager as a sport. And yet it's exploded. So organizations like Pickleball Canada, Pickleball BC, and Vernon Pickleball Association have been building the plane as it's going down the runway in trying to create referees. You don't have any all our referees 10 years ago, no referees in Canada unless they were certified in the United States. So, I mean, yeah, lots of people go down there. Some become referees, but there's 2 handfuls of referees in Canada. Well, all sports need officials. So we're way behind. Well, we're getting there, but we're not going as fast as the overall population. So there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be put into place to be built, and expectations and clarity about how to do things. And we're getting there. But it's as I said, it's a bit like building the plane as you're going down the runway. You need to find people that are doing good things, what does best practice look like? Do we know what it looks like? And go and find those people and learn from them. And I think I can say that Vernon is becoming one of those areas, but through trial and error, blood, sweat, and tears, where we've had the good fortune to do some things, host the first ever BC championships, host the first Western championships in BC. And just by running 5 tournaments a year, we're getting experience not only for our players, our referees, our volunteers, our tournament directors, and we're trying to share that and are very willing to share it with other clubs. To look around for tournaments you're hearing about that are deemed to be successful. I mentioned that Kelowna has had a long history of running Canadian championships when pickleball was in smaller days. But they have some good people down there. And I went down and worked in their score table area and learned how to use the referee management program. And so I was able to bring that back and then train our people. Find places that you hear about that are doing a good job and try and learn from them, pick their brains. And that's been one of the blessings for us, is that we've had people be very willing to help out. I've got some of my contacts that I can call almost any time, night or day, and sometimes have in sheer panic. Because we can't get this to work, help, the tournament's starting in 15 minutes, what button am I not pushing? And they've picked up the phone and said, I'll get on it, and they've helped fix it, and then we learn where we went wrong. So I think creating partnerships and liaisons is the best way. And coming in, we've got people from Kelowna, Surrey, Kamloops that come and help us to run these bigger tournaments, but also learn. And it's sort of a mutual thing. We pick up a few things from them, and they pick up a few things from us. As I say, pickleball is just I don't even think it's a teenager in terms of sport development yet. So there's a long ways to go. I think tournaments can fill one or two of the components of the sport development framework. Sport Canada Sports Development Framework has five components. One is introduction to the game. That's how do you get your new players in? How do you get kids in, old people, whatever? How do you get them in the door? Second is recreational play. Third is tournament play. Fourth is high performance. And fifth is community development. Tournaments and community development is social and financial, economic development. So we've run a 600-person tournament. It has an impact on Vernon of $750,000. In terms of the tournaments, can focus on the competitive play and the high performance play. I don't think we necessarily need more tournaments. We need better tournaments, well-run, consistent quality tournaments. But what we don't have is we don't have any high performance. Now, high performance is who are the best players in your club. If your club was going to go play with 10 other clubs, who you got? What about a BC team? No idea. What about a Canadian team? No idea. We do not have any. It's being focused on grassroots, and sometimes people say that's elitist. It's a sport. We don't just send anybody to play for Canada in hockey or basketball or soccer or any other thing. That's going to be an important role for the evolution, and the sooner than later. The pickleball is looking to try and get into the Olympics, even in spite of its silly name. But you can't do that unless you have a national team. I'd go back, in terms of the bigger tournament picture, I'd go back to not necessarily more, but better. And what are we going to do about high performance? What kind of tournaments or structure would we create to have a provincial team tournament? We could host one of those if you've got, the 10 best players from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, blah, blah, coming here. I think there's a different avenue, but a needed avenue.